My name is Deepesh Patel, editor at Trade Finance Global and host of the podcast Trade Finance Talks. Today, we're talking shipping, and there's a lot to talk about. Global supply chains have been deeply impacted by some of the changes we've seen in the markets, both due to COVID, the Suez Canal debacle, and many other items connecting global value chains really are potentially at breaking point. We've seen shortages of HGV drivers, and they've been a real threat to supply chains all around the world. It's fair to say the industry is facing serious challenges. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Sam Greenhalgh at Zencargo. Sam, welcome to Trade Finance Talks.
Cool. Thanks, Deepesh. Thanks for having me on.
So first of all, quick question. You run What's in the Box. Tell me a little bit more about the podcast you run, and also if you could give a quick introduction to us, that'd be great.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, I got a podcast show that I kicked off last year in October called What's in the Box. The idea was that amidst all of the crazy world that we came into with COVID and all of the events that changed, it was looking to create a space where supply chain professionals, people looking to get into supply chain, could come and really listen to some, I would say, no buzzwords, real good insights, industry leaders, people in tech, people in freight, just to kind of really understand what's those challenges happening, what that means for their businesses, and actually take away some real practical insights around like how can they navigate the current challenging times. So that up to kind of episode 25 now, got lots of a mix of things on there, but it's definitely an interesting show if you're looking for something more supply chain focused.
Thanks. And in your opinion, would you say there's a bit of an education gap within the shipping and freight industry?
Yeah, I think shipping and freight never usually went together in the same sentence, I don't think, from a natural point of view. But I think there's so much stuff or so much new and exciting things that's happening in our world that there is a gap between like new top talent looking to get into an exciting industry and maybe what it traditionally was. And I think that by having these podcasts, having these shows, by making a really loud voice and showing how interesting and exciting our space is, it can attract a lot more talent to the industry and open people's eyes to actually something that is really exciting. And you asked me earlier for an intro to me, but sadly enough, my whole life has been in supply chain and logistics. I got a family heritage. They owned a transport company in the 70s and the 80s, and my dad's still a HGV driver today. So I've been in this space for so long, and I think that I come up, I would say, the traditional way, which was from the warehouse, all different roles within a different organization, and really grown and developed individually through that path. But I don't think it's naturally is a route that people come out from university or anything. I think actually, yeah, I really want to go into freight because it's not classed as a sexy industry, I don't think.
I guess just closer to home, and I'm sure you get a lot of insights from your family and dad on the HGV kind of crisis we're in the UK now. Is that as a result of Brexit and the increased checks, and also the lack of workers coming into the UK as HGV drivers? What are the causes of that, and also what are the impacts we're likely to see?
Yeah, I think that the driver shortage crisis was pretty evident well before Brexit. I think that we've had a long tail of knowing that we're going to have a shortage in the UK of drivers, and if our view is that we rely on other European countries or European drivers to solve that challenge, I think that's quite short-sighted. I think that it's so pivotal, or it's such a vital piece of trade, and we need to invest as a country in the infrastructure, the support, and the way that we get younger people coming into this industry. Because if we're reliant on outside effects such as European drivers solving the challenge or electric vehicles solving the challenge, that's not the answer for us, and we're going to have a really short-term problem if we can't fix it more immediate than those things. So, like, if we just look at it, why would anyone want to go and be a HGV driver right now? Like, the conditions aren't great. The facilities, the security, the length of hours away from potentially home or traveling on the road. All of these things like add up. And I think that we need to think about it as an attractive option. How do we make it more attractive? Is that better services, better parking facilities, how can we invest in kind of tech and apps and make sure that there's gyms and good food and a network for people to socialize and they've got secure park. All of these different things are all areas where we have to make it a more attractive industry, and we have to reduce the barriers to enter that, with regards to like the experience needed to go up through the ranks and the pay that make it more attractive for people to go through the training courses and commit to a career in trucking.
How can we shift young professionals, who are entering the early stages of their career into freight forwarding, shipping, and supply chains, and make it more of an appealing career path? And what can be done to make the industry more exciting, worthwhile, and I guess sexy?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's not one avenue. So I left school at 16, went straight into a business, and I'm not saying that that's what people should do, but we should also not discount that is a really credible route to gain a lot of expertise and experience in the industry. And we should put our arms around and wrap around those individuals that have took that route, because it's a great opportunity to really get hands-on really early, really understand supply chain, and then further education, experience, really expose young people to the excitement, rather than take people on as apprentices and sit them in as cheap labor and do like admin roles. Like, how do we really embed people that are coming out into apprenticeship schemes, but not just apprenticeship to entry-level roles, like apprenticeships to really go and learn a business? I was very lucky. I got invested in my company. I joined as an apprentice earning £90 a week, and I was very quickly taken under the wing of lots of different people in the business and give lots of exposure, which enabled me to grow and develop and get lots of those experiences early. So I think that's a really credible route, but we need to make sure that route isn't just a entry-level role. It's get them in and get them exposed to the business, and not just come in and do a specific function, but come in and learn the industry and the whole business. I think that's a really credible route. The second is, actually, you've got people that are coming out of university and you've got roles. How do we make the industry seem exciting? How do we open people's eyes to the breadth? We're talking about supply chain, we're talking about trade finance. These are two massive markets that has endless opportunities of areas to go into. How do we open that up and make it really exciting for those people? I think podcasts like this, and events and LinkedIn, and actually all of these events that have been happening with these kind of COVID and the supply chain crisis and the global freight crisis, whatever we want to call it, all of these things are putting us in the spotlight. So we need to stay there. We need to shout about our industry, and we need to talk about how exciting it is, because we are kind of one of the foundational pillars of international trade in supply chain and shipping and freight. So that's where I think we need to invest as well, make it sure that people really can see it as an exciting opportunity. Lots of people right now are in the swamp trying to navigate their way out and through lots of challenges. So I hope that for everyone in our industry, in our space, you can get some breathing space over the next 12 months.
Thanks very much, Sam. And I think some really, really great insights as we head into or head out of the global freight crisis. Looking forward to speaking to you next time. But thanks very much for joining us on Trade Finance Talks TV.
Cool, brilliant. Thanks for having me on.